Welcome to Fade or Fly with Mike and the Feather, your weekly football podcast recorded right here in the heart of Sin City. Join Mike and the Feather as they dive into the world of sports bet predictions, game analysis, and serve up a healthy dose of Vegas-style humor. Whether you're looking to ride the winning streak or soar to new heights in your football knowledge, this is the podcast for you. Let's embark on this gridiron adventure together from the entertainment capital of the world.
Welcome back to the show. It's our first Tuesday wrap-up after an NFL weekend. Spent the whole weekend at the Westgate watching games. We got to actually met quite a few subscribers and picked up some new followers during the show, so welcome in, everybody. And if you are watching us for the first time, welcome. We invite you to subscribe, of course, down below. It's free to do so. And if you enjoyed today's content, please make sure you give the video a thumbs up. There was typical Week 1 madness.
Yeah, Week 1 didn't disappoint. It was some wild results. Early games, the scoring was really low. The defense was far ahead of the offense, for sure. But then the afternoon games came, and we had some big scoring games and a lot of exciting stuff to unpack and talk about.
You made an interesting point, too, somewhere in the conversation we had, that now that we're in the second year of only having 3 preseason games, I think for a lot of teams, Week 1 is almost like that 4th preseason game where the starters are getting the last of the rust off and shaking it out. So I think that makes Week 1 even more of a who knows what's going to happen. So going 5-3 was great and came very close. Very close to easily getting 6-2 or 7-1. So that was a hell of a start.
6-2 was very much on the table. The Saints ended up coming short on us a little bit. But
I'm going to go ahead and put up a graphic on the screen right now that will show everybody the 8 picks that you have and what the results were, and then we're going to dive into them.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
And we're going to call this Feathers NFL Week 1 Highs and Lows of the Gridiron. All right, so there you go. So 5-3. It's a good start to the year. Let's roll the way back machine all the way back to almost a week ago on Thursday. First game of the season, kickoff game, was the Lions at the Chiefs. The Chiefs were favored by 5.5 points. The Feathers pick, though, was take the Lions with getting 5.5, and that ended up being a win as the Lions, I don't know if so much stunned, but they definitely upset the Chiefs 21-20. So your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, absolutely. The game 21-20, Lions win, a spectacular ending. Travis Kelce being gone, that is the key.
That obviously was huge.
That was the most important aspect, I believe, that altered the game. But the MVP of the Detroit Lions was one wide receiver, Kadarius Toney of the Chiefs.
Formerly of
the New York Giants, football Giants. Yeah. So Mike's like, okay, you can have him.
Yeah.
They definitely couldn't have used him on Sunday because, wow. Giants are holding open tryouts this week. So, and Mark Wahlberg is going to be playing the role of somebody.
Is that a deep cut at Invincible?
You mean your favorite team, the Eagles, that you really don't talk about to people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was deep cut. Okay, I'm sorry.
Deep cut, yes.
Throwing it back to you.
That was a knife right there. Anyway, so we have Kadarius Toney, who was the MVP, like I said, for the Detroit Lions. But, hey, let's just say the Lions look good. They put up almost 400 yards of total offense. Jared Goff, he was solid. He wasn't super impressive, but he got it done. The coaching was good. Dan Campbell, hats off. The guy went for it early in the game on his own 30-yard line, 4th down. Got it. The tempo of the game. The wide receivers for Kansas City need to figure it out. They just have to figure it out because right now nobody is stepping up. Sky Moore, the guy who was second-round draft pick last year, is supposed to be so good and had so much potential. Goose egg. 0 catches, 0 yards. He's on a milk carton somewhere. There's a missing persons list because he did not exist in that football game. Patrick Mahomes, solid. I mean, he really was solid. He can only do so much with no tools around him. So as far as that game goes, I know.
Was it the Kelsey issue that really put you over the top on picking Lions in this one, or do you think even if he was healthy?
Well, considering I put my money line bet in on the Lions to win the game outright 7 minutes after Travis Kelsey was deemed injured, and I knew he wasn't going to play, put the bet in right away. But for everyone else, I said, hey, let's just go 5 and take the points, call it good. And it worked out well. It's going to be it was a good result. I'm happy with Detroit. As a Packer fan, little nervous because they look good, but Green Bay's always up for good competition. So.
Yeah, let's go to the next one, which I thought this was a junior high squad playing, probably on both ends, but it was the Bengals at the Browns. The Bengals were favored by 2.5 points, and that was the feather pick, which I can't disagree with that, but they barely covered the spread on their own, mustering only 3 points of offense, losing to the Browns 24-3. In a rainy game, I'm not going to say that was the reasoning, but what happened with Joe Burrow and that team?
That rainy weather matched how my soul felt that entire game. I mean, literally, Joe Burrow just got $275 million, the highest paid quarterback and player in NFL history. And he went for passing a total of 82 yards. 82 yards, 0 touchdowns.
We'll touch on this, but it's almost like he and Aaron Rodgers were competing
yards.
This week for who can make the most doing the least. But Burrow had to play the whole game.
Yeah, Burrow played the whole game, but barely did any better than what Aaron Rodgers did. Oops, too soon. The Bengals rushed for 75 whole yards. So all around, you're talking about rushing and passing under 200 yards total. And Joe Burrow, he can't get this monkey off his back. The Browns own him, and I don't know why. I mean, Deshaun Watson was not particularly special. Nick Chubb did his thing. Nick Chubb rushed for over 100 yards, looked good. It was an ugly game. Every time you thought the Bengals might actually put something together, it never happened. Jamar Chase was a non-factor, and all around, the pick did not work out.
Do you feel a little bit nervous about the Bengals, whoever they match up with next? Or it's one of those week one things. How much do you read into a week one game like that, and how much will it sway when we talk later on this week about upcoming picks and putting them in consideration for being one of them?
I really thought the Bengals would get off to a better start. They traditionally have been a slow starting team. Last year was just the same. So week one is what it is. I think that it's going to be a different situation this week, but you'll have to look, future videos. We'll talk more about that. But right now, just a lot of disappointment in Bengal land. Joe Burrow, I think that they're gonna right the ship. This is, like I said, it's a week one. Don't overreact kind of thing. They're going to be just fine. I have no doubt in my mind that the Bengals are going to be on top of that division when it's all said and done. But week one was ugly. That's all you can say. Chalk an L up for the feather, and we move on to the next game.
All right, so the next game we had to go over was the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons were, at the time of recording, minus 3.5. You went with the favorite. You went with the Falcons. And they won 24-10 against a Panthers offense that seemed kind of anemic at most times.
Yeah, both sides of the ball was pretty anemic. I mean, the Panthers, rookie quarterback, Bryce Young, he had a QBR rating of 14.5. So that kind of sums up what he did. Rough rookie start for him. Desmond Ridder, on the other hand, he was efficient, but pretty much ineffective. 15 to 18 passing, but like 115 yards, which is not great. He didn't throw any interceptions, so that's good. But the offense definitely in the passing continues to be fairly anemic and just needs to improve because they definitely can't get into shootouts with that kind of offense. Bijan Robinson, he's an exciting the feature back that he looked great. I mean, he's a dynamic guy and big things ahead for him. But as far as overall, the game was just kind of it wasn't great. It was pretty dry, but in the end, it just came down to the Falcons just didn't make as many mistakes. Both teams did rush for over 130 yards, so that's solid. So they both passed poorly. Both teams rushed decent.
You say week 1 though, so they're still getting their sea legs, so to speak.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
probably to figure out exactly.
That was absolutely a game that showed that defense was ahead of the offense on both sides. And but in the end, the Falcons 24-10. They win by 2 touchdowns. They cover the spread. They win our pick, and on to the next.
Okay, this was a frustrating loss for a pick. This was the Tennessee Titans at the New Orleans Saints. Feather picked the Saints. The Saints were -3 with new quarterback Derek Carr.
Welcome to the Saints, Derek Carr. The man threw for 300 yards.
Devastating, crushing score of 16-15. Which, go ahead, I'll let you field this one. But that they got offense when we didn't want them to.
Yeah, 16-15. Saints win by 1 point. Derek Carr, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Okay. Ryan Tannehill was Ryan Tannehill-like, as he had 3 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. QBR at 10. 10. That's not good. That's kind of what I expected. Derrick Henry was not Derrick Henry-like. 60 yards, no touchdowns. So that's not good for him. They got to get him an offensive line because that line is terrible. But on the bright side for the Saints, wide receiver Chris Olave, great game, 1 touchdown, 100-plus yards. Correction, no touchdown, but 112 yards receiving. One thing I think the Saints are doing is they're missing Alvin Kamara. Their running game with new player Jamal Williams coming over from the Lions, he didn't do much. I think Alvin Kamara is going to be a welcome addition in a couple more weeks because their running game was pretty much stagnant. But from a pick standpoint, we fell short. When we really needed it late in the game, there was a backdoor cover by Tennessee, and to cut it down to a point, the Saints had an ample opportunity to add a field goal at the very end. And at that point, that's when they decided to put a drive together and ice the game with a first down, and we fall short by 2 points. And that's another loss for the Feather. But tough one to swallow. But
well, that's right. Now we got 4 winners in a row here for you. So let's move on to the next one. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. Once again, shout out to Mike Kidwell. Jaguars were favored by 5 points. Went with the Jags by 5. Final score 31-21. And I think one of the interesting stories you touched on this one last week was Calvin Ridley coming back.
Yeah, he looked great. I mean, he caught some tough balls. He looked very dynamic. Things are looking bright with him for sure. You also got a good performance out of second-year quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and running back Travis Etienne also did well. Got a touchdown to add to that. And the other side of the ball, you got Anthony Richardson, rookie quarterback for Indy. Tough kid. I think he's going to be a great athlete, and he's going to be a good player down the road. He ran well, but once again, his QBR wasn't so good. It was a QBR of 23, and at the end of the game, he took a pretty tough lick, and I kind of questioned some of the play calling decisions at the very end of the coaching staff, not kicking a field goal, being down 10 to turn around and try to get a touchdown after an onside kick. But, so that game worked good, though. The Jaguars covered the spread and chalk up a win for the good guys.
All right. Okay, here's one that I want to discuss. We had the 49ers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. 49ers were favored by 2.5. You went right up with the Steelers to win that game, getting 2.5.
Correct.
Final score 30-7, and that was a bit of a rough one. So, what Pittsburgh Steelers team was that, and how do you feel about that pick overall now, looking at the game?
49ers went into Steeltown and literally whipped them. Pittsburgh, for that particular game, didn't look like they belonged on the field. San Francisco just was faster and stronger and just on both sides of the ball just literally owned Pittsburgh. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. I think that Pittsburgh's going to right the ship. Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Well, we now know that Brock Purdy is legit. I mean, we didn't know who the quarterback would be to start the year. Brock Purdy came back. You know, coming off a major injury, and he looked sharp. I mean, Brock Purdy, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 200-plus yards passing. Christian McCaffrey got it done, 152 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver, unbelievable game, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. So this offense looks like as long as Brock Purdy is doing what he's doing, they may literally be unstoppable. George Kittle was banged up, did nothing. And yet, this team just looked on a whole different level, like literally perhaps the best team in the NFC right now. And Nick Bosa did very little in that game. He just kind of getting back into the groove again after being off for a while, holding out for his big contract he got. They didn't even need him. I mean, it was just Kenny Pickett. We're going to have to wait another week for Pickett the Pickens because there was that wasn't pretty. Pickett, Pickens, and Najee Harris on the offensive side for Pittsburgh was non-existent. Literally, as you can see in a 30-7 loss, non-existent. There's not much else you can say other than Pittsburgh's going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what needs to be done different. Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver 1 for Pittsburgh, took a pretty good injury. He left the field. He is doubtful already for this coming week's game. So that doesn't bode well for Pittsburgh or Mike and I, our fantasy team, because he was one of our fantasy picks in our big money draft. So we're not off to a great start. Kelsey down in 1 draft, Deontay Johnson down in another draft, and, next man up, just like in the NFL. It's always next man up. So that game, we took a little egg on the face. It wasn't close, and an L for the feather, unfortunately. So on to the next.
Okay, we're going to skip this next one, right? You said we could ignore it never happened. And no? Okay. This was the Cowboys at the New York Football Giants. Cowboys were favored by 3. They just barely covered. I'll let you know. Feather picked the Cowboys -3. Final score, 40-. Did they even finish the game? That was tough for me.
You didn't 40 to what? You didn't tell me what the score was.
40 to what? 40 to.
Was it 40-0?
Yeah, 40 to 0. All right. So I'm good. It's week 1. It's week 1.
Talk about your feelings.
You pick the Steelers. Let's just leave it at that.
All right. So anyway.
All right. Well, no, my feelings are probably better than Daniel Jones's feeling, getting sacked 7 times. The defense got 2 scoring plays. Oh, look, for the first 2.5 minutes, I felt good. I felt there's the Giants team that's coming out of last season. Barkley's getting the ball. He's running. Jones is hitting the ground running. And then they just took a nap with that field goal block, and that was it. That was the Giants from the last 5 years ago. From that point forward, I believe I looked it up earlier. The fantasy points alone, Dallas defense would have gotten you in both a scoring league and like a FanDuel league is like astronomically unheard of. Better than any other player in a standard PPR, half PPR league. So I think all around, I don't think week 1 happened. And I'm looking forward to an undefeated 16-0 season still. But do you have anything to add about that basically manhandling of the Giants?
I mean,
are the Cowboys for real, or was that like, okay, the B team of the Giants took the field?
What's the matter, 4 eyes? What's your mama?
Yeah, I mean, the little Giants had no chance against the Cowboys that game. Daniel Jones is probably in some police station somewhere filing assault charges because he got beat down, like literally beat down. That team, the crazy part is Dallas was not impressive on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Tony Pollard got his, 1 touchdown, I think, and CeeDee Lamb did a little something, but Dak Prescott, only the Dallas Cowboys can figure out a way to put up 40 points and almost negligible offensive production. Like, it was strictly special teams and the defense that scored those points pretty much for Dallas, and Dak was just kind of mediocre as usual. And they're definitely going to have to figure it out because most teams are not going to be playing like the Giants played, so it's not going to turn out like that. If Dak doesn't, figure it out and improve his offensive side of the ball, it could be another long year for the Cowboys. But due to the defense being so amazing, many people are saying that they think Dallas is the team to beat in the NFC and are Super Bowl bound. We'll call that overreaction as of right now, because we all know traditionally Dallas usually flops later in the year. Like I said when I made the pick, they come out on fire and then they fail later. But as of right now, Dallas was the nuts this year, the absolute stone cold nuts, 40-0, easy pick for the Feather.
And
winner chicken dinner.
And they're going to try and repeat it next week on their own home turf against the Jets, which we'll talk about the Jets in another episode. But they're going to get two really beat up East Coast teams.
To
start the season.
So the Cowboys are just getting gifted right now, because the Jets are going to be a great defense, so they could really kind of put the hurt on Dallas's offense if Dak Prescott doesn't come around. But they caught a big break. Instead of facing Aaron Rodgers, they're going to face Zach Wilson, the MILF Hunter. So so they caught a big break, and I'm sure the Dallas defense is going to feast on Zach Wilson, but we'll talk about that later on in the week. But, Dallas, a win in the book, and on to the next.
All right, so we go from one extreme to the other, and I'm sure this will now be your favorite part of the show. Packers at the Bears. The Bears were favored by 1. Feather said, take the Packers, +1. I believe you said take them straight up, take them to the bank, take them all day, mortgage the house. I believe you were very satisfied with the Packers winning 38-20. In fact, I have some footage of what I had to experience throughout Sunday.
The Raiders defense, and one of the things that they have right now. Last year, didn't get a ton of sacks. Right now, they need to just march back.
What can I say? Jordan Love, the real deal. He's one of a few quarterbacks that day to throw for 3 touchdowns. He did it, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 230-ish yards. He was poised. He was confident. He was calm and collected. The man was like ice. He didn't show emotion in any way, shape, or form. He was like a surgeon out there. Aaron Rodgers, we miss him, but you know what? On to the next. And Jordan Love is the guy. He's proven it right now after week 1 that he's got all the tangibles. Yes, I know it was against the Chicago Bears, and people are going to say the Bears are terrible. We'll see what they do down the road against a real team. All that's going to come out, but guess what? Aaron Rodgers, gone. Jordan Love is here, and we got a new daddy in town. That's all I got to say about that.
That's like a stepdaddy. He's very young.
Yeah, stepdaddy, definitely by association. So Aaron Jones, let's talk about Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was outstanding. The guy, dynamic pass catcher, runner. He did it on all fronts, and unfortunately, he did pull a hammy, it looked like. So end of the game, he was stretching on the sidelines. Not sure where he stands, but he was pretty, playful after. So I think he's going to be okay. But he looked outstanding. No Christian Watson. Everyone's like, okay, no Christian Watson. What's that going to mean? No wide receiver 1. Romeo Doubs stepped up. Him and Jordan Love looked like they're on the same page the whole time. Romeo Doubs, 2 touchdown catches, and great passes as well. So a lot to be positive about over there. Luke Musgrave, tight end for the Packers, looked solid as well. He caught a pretty awkward pass. It was about a 40-yard plus pass. He made the catch. He fell down, so he didn't get in the end zone. But, hey, you know what? He's a rookie. He's learning. It's all good. On the other side of the ball, God, Justin Fields, he's just not cutting the mustard right now. He can run, but he's showing he can't pass. He has a great receiver like DJ Moore, and DJ Moore got shut down by Jair Alexander, and for 25 yards, 2 receptions. I mean, that is outstanding against a wide receiver 1 that's supposed to be a probably top 10 to top 15 receiver in the league. It was easy money. What can I say? I mean,
Chicago had no run game going either.
Chicago had nothing going. I mean, they just mistake after mistake. The defense looked phenomenal for Green Bay. I said it in the beginning. I'll keep saying it. Green Bay's defense is going to be underrated this year. People are kind of waking up to them. They're going to be a top 5 defense. I just don't see them stopping. I think this is going to be an ongoing love train all the way to the Super Bowl, maybe. not making a prediction right now, but I'm just saying it's not too early for people to start getting bets in. Okay, I said over 7.5 Green Bay.
I like to remind you about your feelings towards week 1, though. It kind of goes both ways. Not always what happens week 1 is going to be the scenario.
Yes, many may say this is overreaction Monday, but on a Tuesday for me. But I'm telling you, they look sharp.
They look good. They definitely look good. I was very poised. It didn't seem like they were off page with each other too often.
Shout out to Dan Paddock. He's the one that said that if Chicago in the event would beat Green Bay, I'd have to wear a Chicago Bears hat for the whole episode.
You bailed that. I actually, by proxy, I made an additional $15 this weekend betting because I had to buy you a hat. So
yeah, you didn't.
I'll have to think of a new challenge because next week they have the Falcons.
They do. They have the Dirty Birds, Atlanta Falcons. So
yeah,
Dan, nice trying that challenge you had, but Green Bay came through. We watched that game at the Westgate as well, and it was a lot of energy, and I was pretty pumped, to say the least. So feeling good about this week. Another win for the Feather. Finished the pick count at 5-3 on the week, 62.5%, which is really solid. Anything above 52% is really good, actually. Now, something else about the channel. I normally do my picks with not only make the pick, but I have units involved as well. Now, for people that don't know, units mean the strength of the game and what I believe in. So if I say it's Green Bay and 2 units, that means everyone has a different version of what a unit of the betting is. It could be anywhere from $2 a unit to, $10,000 a unit, okay? So unit strength would be, anywhere from, say, usually 1 to 10 units would be my highest. I usually am floating more around between 1 and 5 units throughout the season. And so, like, for example, if a unit is $100 and I say 1 unit, that's a $100 bet. If I say 5 units on this game, then if you're $100 per unit better, that's a $500 bet. So going forward, week 1, I chose us to pick against the spread, no units, because week 1 is kind of a tough sledding type shit show. And I just thought, okay, pick against the spread, let people bet what they're going to bet. But going forward, I'm going to have units tied in with each pick. So that's something that's going to be moving forward from this week until the end of the season. So just for anyone who had questions in regards to that, and then we'll keep update tracking of not only the percentage of winning, but then the plus minus units for each game and for the season total. So.
Well, that's going to do it for week 1. It's in the books. Feather officially 5-3, a winning record to start the season. We will be looking at his picks for week 2 just in a few days. Make sure if you're not already subscribed, you want to go ahead and make some money this year, go ahead and follow down below, click the subscribe button, and click that bell icon to be notified whenever new content comes out. Picks later in the week, updated news throughout the week, reviews of games, breaking news, player stats, fantasy, whatever the Feather thinks about that's worthy of putting out there, he's going to get it to me. We're going to teach him how to use Instagram.
Good luck with that. It could be a challenge, but I'm willing to learn.
That way we can get everything up to the minute, guys. Thank you for watching, and until we see you again on this channel, tell a friend, and we'll see you soon.
You can take that to the bank. Boom.